We all have dreams, goals, a vision for the life we want to live. But here's the thing, those dreams don't just happen. They're not waiting on a perfect time, a lucky break, or someone else to hand them to us. They're waiting on you. Every single breakthrough, every ounce of growth, every success story you admire, it all starts with a decision, the decision to change. Change is hard, change is uncomfortable, but nothing worth having ever came from staying the same. When people talk about changing their lives, they often focus on everything outside of themselves. If I had a better job, I'd be happier. If my partner understood me more, I'd be less stressed. If I lived in a different city, things would finally fall into place. We tend to believe that life will improve when external circumstances improve. But here's the truth that hits hard for most of us. You could change your job, your relationship, your environment, but if you don't change yourself, nothing will truly get better. It's like changing the scenery in a movie, but keeping the same script and the same main character with the same flaws, doubts, and limiting beliefs. Eventually, the new scene starts to feel a lot like the old one, because it's not the world that needs to change first. It's your perception of the world. It's the stories you tell yourself. It's how you see problems, and more importantly, how you see yourself. Growth starts when you shift from asking, what's wrong out there, to asking, what can I improve in here? When you stop blaming and start reflecting, when you become brutally honest with yourself, not to shame yourself, but to liberate yourself. The greatest transformations don't come from new opportunities, but from new levels of self-awareness. Think about it. If you keep thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same emotions, and making the same choices, how can anything in your life possibly change? Your beliefs drive your behaviors, and your behaviors create your results. So if you want new results, the process starts with questioning your beliefs, especially the ones you've held for so long that you stop noticing them. The belief that you're not good enough, that success is for other people, that you don't deserve more than what you've settled for. That inner dialogue, it's either your biggest barrier or your greatest weapon. When you change how you think, you change how you act. And when you change how you act, you change what you attract. You shift your energy, your direction, and your future. Not because the world suddenly got easier, but because you got stronger. And that power, that potential, has always been inside you. Continue. One of the most common traps we fall into is waiting. We wait for the perfect time. We wait until we feel ready. We wait for a sign, for permission, for someone to come along and give us the green light to go after what we want. But let me ask you this. How long have you been waiting? How many ideas have you shelved because you told yourself it wasn't the right moment? How many dreams have you delayed because you were scared of failing? How many times have you said, someday, knowing full well that someday almost never comes? Here's the harsh truth. Waiting is a silent killer of potential. Life doesn't hand out perfect moments. The stars won't suddenly align. There will always be something going on, a bill to pay, a fear to face, a reason to postpone. But if you keep waiting for the right time, you'll watch your life pass you by while you're still sitting on the sideline. You don't need permission to change. You don't need approval to begin. What you need is to realize that action is what creates clarity, not the other way around. We've been conditioned to believe that we need to have it all figured out before we start. But most people don't get clarity before taking action. They get clarity through taking action. When to start a business, type a business. Or start researching, start building. Want to get healthier? Don't wait for Monday. Start with your next meal. Want to write a book? Learn a skill? Heal from something? Take a leap? Start now. Not when it feels comfortable. Because if you're chasing something worth having, it probably won't feel comfortable. Waiting feels safe, but it's a trap. It tricks you into thinking you have time. And the longer you wait, the heavier your dreams become. Until one day, they don't inspire you anymore. They just haunt you. Because deep down, you knew you were capable. You knew there was more in you. But fear won. Delay won. Doubt won. You don't have to have the perfect plan. You don't need all the answers. You just need to do something. A small step, a little momentum. Because once you move, even just a little, you shift your energy, you shift your mindset, you stop playing defense and start playing offense. And that small act of starting, no matter how messy or uncertain, is often the one thing that separates people who only dream from people who actually live those dreams. If you want to predict where your life is headed, don't look at your goals, look at your habits, because goals are about what you want, but habits are about who you are becoming. We often chase big outcomes, wealth, fitness, success, peace of mind, but forget that those outcomes don't come from one big moment. They come from the small, often boring, repeated choices you make every single day. You don't become healthy by working out once. You don't become wealthy by saving money once. You don't become confident, disciplined, or skilled by wishing it would happen. It's the repetition, the consistency, the daily effort, even when no one is watching, even when it feels like nothing is changing. And that's the part most people overlook. We want instant change, quick results, immediate rewards, but life doesn't work like that. Your current reality is just a reflection of the habits you've been practicing, whether consciously or not. The way you spend your mornings, the thoughts you repeat to yourself, the food you eat, the people you surround yourself with, the time you give to learning or the time you give to scrolling, all of it adds up. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. And if your systems, your habits aren't aligned with where you want to go, you'll stay stuck even if your intentions are good. Habits are powerful because they automate your life. Once something becomes a habit, it no longer takes willpower. It becomes who you are. So if you want to change your life, start small. Start with 5 minutes of reading instead of an hour of distraction. Start with 10 push-ups instead of waiting to feel motivated to go to the gym. Start with one honest conversation instead of living in resentment. Because small hinges swing big doors. The beauty of habits is this: just as bad ones can quietly destroy your potential, good ones can silently build an extraordinary life. The question isn't whether you have habits. You already do. The real question is, are your habits building the life you want or slowly taking it away from you? We live in a world that's constantly selling comfort. Fast food, instant gratification, shortcuts, click to ship, swipe to match. Everything is designed to be faster, easier, and more effortless. But here's the paradox. The more you chase comfort, the more uncomfortable your life becomes. And the more you lean into discomfort, the more strength, clarity, and freedom you unlock. Growth doesn't live inside the comfort zone. Growth lives in the stretch, the struggle, the moments that make you question whether you're ready, but you do it anyway. Think about a muscle. To grow stronger, you have to put it under stress. You have to tear the fibers just a little. It's uncomfortable. It burns. It's not exactly pleasant in the moment, but that pain, that resistance, that's the process. That's what triggers growth. The same principle applies to every area of your life. You grow when you push yourself to speak up, even when your voice shakes. You grow when you show up for something new, even when you're unsure if you'll succeed. You grow when you choose discipline over temptation, action over avoidance, responsibility over excuses. Most people run from discomfort. They avoid it at all costs. But the irony is this: avoiding discomfort only leads to a life full of quiet regret. Avoid the gym today, you may feel comfortable now, but down the road, you pay the price. Avoid the hard conversation, you dodge the awkward moment now, but you carry emotional weight with you for weeks, months, even years. Avoid taking the leap on that idea. You stay safe today, but that untapped potential starts to eat away at you. Discomfort is not your enemy. It's your compass. It points you toward the areas where growth is waiting. It shows you what matters. It reveals what you're afraid of. And often what you're afraid of is exactly where your breakthrough is hiding. Growth doesn't ask you to be fearless. It asks you to do it anyway. To feel the nerves, feel the doubt, feel the awkwardness, and move through it, not around it. Because every time you stretch even a little, you expand who you are. You build confidence not by staying safe, but by proving to yourself again and again that you can handle the heat and come out stronger on the other side. One of the hardest parts of personal growth is learning new things. It's unlearning the old things that are holding you back. We all carry a version of ourselves that's shaped by our past, by our experiences, our failures, our upbringing, our fears, our insecurities. And over time, that version becomes familiar. It becomes our identity, even if it's limiting us. The problem is you can't build a new life while clinging to an old identity. You can't become the best version of yourself while staying attached to the version of you that's rooted in fear, now, or past pain. We say we want change, but then we keep repeating the same stories. I've always been this way. I'm not good with people. I've never been consistent. I just don't have that kind of confidence. But those aren't facts. Those are facts. Those are scripts, and you've probably been rehearsing them for years. At some point, they served a purpose. They helped you survive. They helped you explain your situation. But now they're in the way. Now they're the change keeping you from rising. Letting go of the old you means releasing the belief that you have to stay who you've always been. It means allowing yourself to evolve, even if other people don't understand it. Even if it means outgrowing certain relationships, certain environments, or even certain parts of your own identity. It takes courage. It means walking into unknown territory without the comfort of the labels you've been hiding behind. It means choosing to rewrite the story, even if the old one felt safer. But here's the thing. The life you want, the freedom, the fulfillment, the success, it doesn't live in the past version of you. It lives in the next version, the one you haven't fully stepped in yet, the version that takes risks, that believes in possibility, that doesn't define themselves by who they used to be, but by who they're becoming. You are not your mistakes. You are not your setbacks. You are not the person who gave up 5 years ago or the one who doubted themselves yesterday. But to step into the future, you have to be willing to leave behind the pieces of you that were only meant to carry you this far. Because what got you here won't get you there. If there's one mindset shift that separates people who grow from people who stay stuck, it's this: taking full responsibility for your life. Now, let's be clear. Responsibility is not the same as blame. You are not to blame for everything that's happened to you. Some of it wasn't fair. Some of it was out of your control. People let you down. Life hit hard. Doors closed that should have opened. But here's the truth. What happened to you may not be your fault, but what you do with it, that's on you. Responsibility doesn't mean you cause the pain. It means you choose what happens next. It means you decide that your future won't be dictated by your past. It means you take ownership over your mindset, your habits, your choices, your direction. And the moment you do that, something incredible happens. You reclaim your power. See, when you give your power away, when you blame your boss, your parents, your partner, the economy, your childhood, the government, you're also giving away your ability to change. Because if they're in control, then you're stuck waiting for the apology, waiting for the system to fix itself. And meanwhile, your life is on pause. But when you take responsibility, real responsibility, not just for your actions, but for your attitude, your energy, your reactions, that's when things start to shift. You stop reacting and start creating You stop surviving and start leading. Responsibility means asking yourself the hard questions. What can I do about this? How am I contributing to this pattern? Or what lesson is life trying to teach me right now? It's not always comfortable, but it's always empowering. Because once you realize that you are not helpless, that you can respond to life in powerful, intentional ways, you start to see opportunities where others only see obstacles. You don't wait for someone to save you. You become the one who saves yourself. And that kind of power, that's not given. That's claimed. It's forged through choice, through ownership, through the quiet, consistent decision to stop making excuses and start making progress. When we imagine the life we want, the version of ourselves we dream of becoming, it can feel distant, out of reach, like something meant for a someday or someone else. And because of that feeling, many people don't even try. They convince themselves it's too far, too late, too hard. They tell themselves, I've got so much work to do, or I'll never be that kind of person. So they shrink their vision. They lower their standards. They settle for what's familiar because they believe the gap between where they are and where they want to be is just too wide. But here's the truth, one that most people don't realize until they've already crossed it. You're closer than you don't need to become a completely different person to start living a better life. You just need to make different decisions that align with your highest self, not your most comfortable one. Sometimes all it takes is a shift in perspective. Sometimes it's one conversation, one new habit, one bold step forward, one moment of courage where you say, I'm done waiting. I'm ready now. What if the thing you've been dreaming about is just on the other side of that next step? What if the version of you who has the confidence, the discipline, the peace, the success is not 5 years away, but 5 changes away? You see, progress doesn't always look like fireworks. Sometimes it's silent. Sometimes it's waking up and choosing not to hit snooze. Sometimes it's putting down the phone and picking up that book. Sometimes it's choosing honesty over hiding, effort over excuses, growth over guilt. The problem is we tend to overestimate what it takes to begin and underestimate what we're capable of once we start. We wait for some giant leap, some miracle transformation, but real progress is built from small intentional steps taken consistently over time. And with every step, that distant vision of the life you want, it gets closer. Not because the dream is shrinking, but because you're rising to meet it. There is a version of you already inside you who is capable more clarity, more peace, more impact. That version isn't a fantasy, it's a future reality waiting for a decision.